I'm Sam Stapleton. We are here on episode 108 of the Talking Grammar podcast.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jeff Grammer with the Albuquerque Journal, and as you just heard, this is episode 108 of the Talking Grammar podcast. Glad you're here. Glad you're watching if you're watching. Glad you're listening if you're listening. However you got here, it's much appreciated. Can't do this without you guys. Today's guest, as he just introduced today's show, is new Lobo basketball assistant coach, Sam Stapleton. Good long conversation with him about his basketball journey to where he is right now, a little bit about the program. We're getting to know these new faces around the Lobo basketball program, right? As we recorded this on Sunday, I recorded this intro on Monday, recorded with him on Sunday over the weekend, and the new Lobo players, most of them, will be in Albuquerque as of, I believe, today. Some of them started showing up over the weekend. But this week, they all but the two international players that were signed fairly late will be here this week, or expected to be here this week, and start summer session and summer classes and some summer workouts. So oddly enough, the Lobo coaches, the entire staff, there wasn't, as we know by now, right? There's an entire Lobo roster turnover, so they didn't have any spring workouts at all, not even any individual drills. Normally that's going on several times a week in the Rudy Davalos practice facility. The coaches are dying right now to get on the court and have somebody to start working out and stuff like that. So I think the coaches are as excited about the players being here as the players are themselves. Hope you guys enjoy this. Hope you enjoy all the podcasts, really, at the Albuquerque Journal Podcast Network. We got a bunch of them going now, and the coverage in the Albuquerque Journal, just because it's summertime doesn't mean we've let up at all. The sports section's still full every day with local content, not just national stuff. And hope you guys are subscribing if you can. Help local journalism. abqjournal.com/subscribe is how you can get there. And to hear a little bit more about this Albuquerque Journal Podcast Network, here's Gino.
If you enjoy our podcast, please like and subscribe, and consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Albuquerque Journal to help us bring you more content like this. You can find this episode and all of our podcasts on the Albuquerque Journal website, abqjournal.com, as well as YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. See the show notes for a discount code on a digital subscription. Thank you for supporting the Albuquerque Journal, New Mexico's leading news.
All right. Thanks, Gino. Albuquerque Journal Podcast Network, as he just said, we got a lot of stuff going on. So hopefully you guys find something you like there. Hopefully you continue to like this if you do enjoy it. Like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff helps the numbers, helps the ratings, helps get this content to you even quicker, and make sure you don't miss an episode ever. So again, much appreciated for you being here. For now, let's not ramble anymore. Here's our conversation with Sam Stapleton, the new UNM Lobo assistant coach. First of all, welcome to New Mexico. Welcome to Albuquerque. Welcome to my podcast. I'm very appreciative of you doing it. Welcome, man.
Yeah, no, Jeff, appreciate you having me on. Looking forward to it.
This is for those watching. This is, of course, this is our introduction. We haven't really met yet. I am looking forward to it as we record this. This is Sunday. What is it? June 7th today, I think. Some guys are about to come on campus. You guys are about to have some summer workouts. You guys have a lot of ground to cover, but I'm finally actually going to be able to sort of get over there and meet you guys too. I haven't met any of you guys in person other than Eric, so I look forward to that. It's been an interesting spring, that's for sure.
Yeah. Been a lot going on, but we're looking forward to it. Hit the ground running. Whole new team, right? I don't think that's any secret, but whole new team, and we're looking forward to hitting the ground running with bringing everybody together.
Have you ever had anything quite like this? You've been in some more unique situations where, Dominguez Hills, was that Division
D2? Yeah.
And then before that, was it a JUCO? Were you at a junior college?
Before Dominguez, I was a grad assistant at Pepperdine for a year, and then got my start. And then got my start at the JUCO level before that.
So at the JUCO level, you there can be years with some pretty big turnaround or turnover in rosters, but I imagine even there, it might not have ever been the entire roster, was it?
No, you always had a few coming back that either redshirted or were freshmen, and even at that level, you kind of knew you had guys for a 2-year run. You might have a guy leave after a year, but you knew you kind of had a guy for a 2-year run. And so, yeah, this is definitely not anything I've been a part of. We had a couple years at UC San Diego, the new day and age of the transfer portal where you got to bring in 7 guys, and that felt like a lot.
Yeah.
And now it's all relative.
I remember a couple of years ago when people were hitting the panic button when it was like 5 or 6 or 7 guys you had to turn over a roster, and it's like, what's wrong with the program? Why is everybody leaving? And it's people will take 6 or 7 at this point now, right? If you can retain, that means you're probably retaining 5 at least or so. So, first of all, you in New Mexico, had you ever been to New Mexico? You have any history in New Mexico at all?
No, I have not. I mean, I'm very familiar with the program and kind of the history behind it. But in terms of Albuquerque as a city, had never been here, didn't have a ton of familiarity with it.
What is your familiarity with UNM and the program?
All the NBA players that have come through, a ton of very, very successful coaches and state tournament appearances. Obviously, Coach Pitino and his staff, most recently, doing a really good job. And for me, being a California kid, I would always grow up with kind of the West Coast conferences, Mountain West, Big West, any type of mid-major, quote-unquote, West Coast conference would be that late-night game on TV. And I became very, very infatuated with the better programs and all of them.
So when you guys first got out here, because you're an LA, California, your whole life kind of guy, right?
Yep, correct.
You guys, I think it's funny when Tank told me this, because I didn't realize it at the time. When you guys first got out here, there were a bunch of you guys living together. Were you one of the ones all in Aaron's old house, or I don't know if any of you guys still are in that house? Maybe you are.
We are not. We have moved on from that phase, but I was a part of that initial phase. I think me, Tank, and Mikey were a part of that first crew to make it out here pretty early on.
How was that, man? Well, I mean, for a short stint, is probably pretty fun, I would think.
Yeah, no, I think number one, being able to do it with other people, right? I think would have been different if you're on your own in a hotel and not having a shared experience, but getting to do that with Tank and Mikey, go to the office, go to the pit for the first time, and then go back to the hotel, go eat together. And then after a little while, I did start to miss my wife back at home. So I feel like I need to make note of that. But that initial phase, I think, being here with Tank and Mikey and doing it together, I think made it work a lot.
Well, just in case wife is watching this, all I've heard about is how much you just talk about her and rave about her, and that's all everyone says is, man, does he just talk about how much he misses his wife? So hopefully that helps you out there a little bit.
No, you're clearly really good at what you do. Yeah.
Is your wife going to be able to come out here? Is she already out here? How is that?
We're out here together. We drove out here probably about 2 weeks ago, so okay. we are fully moved to Albuquerque.
What's New Mexico and Albuquerque like initially for somebody? Look, I was born and raised in New Mexico. I'm in my 40s, and the only 3 years I was outside of New Mexico was just to Tucson, Arizona. So I've traveled around, but I've lived in New Mexico my whole life. I'm always curious what the initial reaction is for people like yourself who haven't even really visited before. So what is your first month or so in Albuquerque and New Mexico, knowing though that it is a unique situation you're in? You guys have been busy. It's not just like you've been visiting. You've been pretty busy.
Yeah. I mean, I've grown to like Albuquerque right from the jump. I think for me, growing up in LA, I've done the beach thing already. I've done the, be by the water, you got great weather, but going to a place, I feel like Albuquerque has a lot of personality, and a lot of that is attached to the basketball program. So I think the fact that my move here wasn't only moving to Albuquerque, but moving here to be a part of the New Mexico basketball program, I think right away from the jump, I felt a lot of excitement and motivation from being here.
It's really too early for you to have adopted it, and it's not that there isn't chili in San Diego, but have you started to hit any of that green chili yet? Have you hit any of the restaurants here that have some of the good stuff?
So typically wherever I go, I try to get the green chili. I need to find out what places are known to really have the good stuff. I think I've more lean green over red. I don't know if that'd be a popular pick or not.
Everyone says to say Christmas, right? Which is red and green together. I'm a lifelong New Mexican, and I'm I'm of the opinion that once you get used to the chili, the answer is it depends on what you're eating. If it's beef, it's red. If it's like chicken, you like green. If it's breakfast burritos, I prefer green. If it all depends on what you're eating. So it's hard to single in on one, but we always ask the question red or green and put people on the spot, and so they come up with an answer. But the real answer is it just depends what you're eating.
After Coach Olen's press conference, I learned to be very prepared very quickly for that question to come about.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's one of our cliche. We always ask the newcomers about it. So, tell me about growing up in LA, man. Were you always into sports? Were you part of a big family? What's the growing up like?
Yeah, small family, mom, dad, older brother. Nobody really had a athletic background type of thing where I kind of grew up randomly loving the game, played from an early age, AAU, club ball, all of that. And then all the way through, playing D3 at Occidental College. But even then, growing up, I was a weird kid where in fifth grade, I knew I wanted to be a coach. Everybody went in fifth grade, they wanted to play in the NBA. And I wanted to play, for however long I can. But I had a weird taste in terms of wanting to be a coach and wanting to help the game from that standpoint. So I kind of viewed myself as a learner from an early age. And then, and then obviously all my career choices have kept me in Southern California. So I've gotten a good, I spent basically my whole life in one part or another of the Southern California region.
In fifth grade, when you were already aspiring to be a coach, were you the kid that showed up to school with the tie and did you have a suit on and walk around with the clipboard?
So not the tie and the clipboard, but I still wanted to kind of be a cool kid. But whenever you got to write fifth grade, what do you want to do when you grow up? Like any type of assignment, it would be, and oddly enough, it wasn't like I didn't want to coach at Duke and Kentucky. Like my things were like, I want to coach at a really awesome mid-major program. And that will sound really cliche, but like, again, there's just something cool about when you turn on a game at 8 p.m. on a Friday night and there'd be a high level Mountain West game and high level, any type of West Coast conference game being on.
The realignment of all of this just sucks, but we got another year of Mountain West After Dark and it delivers, man. There's always something at least entertaining, but sometimes often quite wild that happens on that last Mountain West game on CBS Sports Network or whatever it is. The Mountain West has done a pretty good job of delivering on that late night slot.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
So you'll be a part of some of that, I imagine. So, obviously, you played a little bit too, and I do have actually a quick question here. Who is this guy right here? For you audio listeners, I'm showing a picture of Sam playing at Division III Occidental College.
I can tell you very well who that might be. That is a very hardworking, high IQ, limited athletic ability D3 player who got the most out of his ability and knew it was time to move into coaching. But yeah, that was me at Occidental College, D3 in LA. Played there 09 through 13, and had a great time there.
That is the picture of a future coach.
Yeah.
Some might say that's a picture of a point guard. Some might say that's a picture of a future coach.
Yeah. I don't quite have the hair flow going anymore, but
I'm telling you, man, that's a good head of hair right there. All right, so you obviously, as a player, though, I mean, you said it yourself, a hardworking D3 guy. We kind of get the gist of you probably weren't, going on to the NBA or playing at a high level if you did at all overseas, but you did lead the team in assists, right? I mean, you weren't just filling up a roster spot. You were playing.
Yeah. No, I tell people I was a pass first, pass second, pass third point guard, and then very reluctant, barely capable shooter. But yeah, no, I think, again, the part of wanting to get into coaching is knowing your strengths and weaknesses. And I think that carried over from my time as a player.
I am curious a little bit about from those playing days, and it's something I've asked Tank and Wilder both since they've been on, and I'll have all the assistants. I'll ask you guys all the same thing though. Where was Sam Stapleton the coach or the player? Was that a player that Sam Stapleton, the coach, could have handled, could have coached, would have liked coaching?
Great question. He would have liked coaching him because of IQ film, we would have had to have a lot of rim protection behind me. We would have had have to have maybe multiple 7-footers behind me to make up for my lack of defensive ability.
You were sliding side to side very quickly, huh?
So I would have loved to have me a part of the program, but I might have had to recruit over me though.
How would you have, as a player, have handled that at the D3 level? I guess it doesn't probably happen quite as much, but how would you have handled being recruited over?
Yeah, you know what? D3 is very unique in the fact that, right, you don't have the scholarship part. The people that are there, you got to really love the game. Like, you don't have anything tied to keeping you. I mean, every year we would have guys not transfer; they would quit the team and stay at the university. And so, from that standpoint, I think everything's competition, and you would hope that your coach would communicate with you that everything's going to be competition. We're bringing in A, B, and C. We see you and him being able to play together. Over here, maybe you and him can play together. So it's basically going to be 40 minutes for those two guys. But I think communication on the front end would always be kind of the way to handle it. And you would hope that, a kid, if people are bringing in somebody over him, they would want to be motivated, right? You don't want anybody to be happy about that, but you would hope that would bring out the best in them. And ultimately, when you win, that can help cure a lot.
After basketball or playing basketball, how quickly right after college, and you got your degree from there, I believe, in 2013. Yep. Is that right?
Yep. Right.
Right. How quickly? And tell me, where is Occidental? Is it in LA?
Yep, LA, Eagle Rock, which, if you're familiar with Pasadena, Glendale,
yeah, okay. There've been some good Lobos from Pasadena.
Yep. So
recently there was a Vance Jackson who was solid. But Michael Cooper and I believe Hunter Green, are both from Pasadena. I don't know 100%. Not he's going to give me a hard time if he hears this, but I'm not positive that Hunter Green was Pasadena. But anyway, Hunter Green's going to be the analyst for all the radio games. I don't know if you've met Robert Portnoy yet, the play-by-play guy.
Yep.
But his partner Hunter Green's a Lobo great, and he's from the LA area.
Great, yeah. Looking forward to talking to him about that.
You still have a lot of history to learn about Lobo basketball. It's funny because a few years back, it was Pitino's first year, and across the hall, Mike Bradbury was recruiting the daughter of one of the Lobo greats here. And it wasn't a Lobo great that went on to the NBA. Outside of the program, people wouldn't have known that Rob Robbins was a Lobo great unless they were big-time Mountain West fans or Lobo fans. But Rob Robbins was there in the halls of the facility, and Richard Pitino had been here, I think, at the time, a month or two. And I found out about it, and I called, or I was talking to Richard about something, and I said, "Hey, did you get to meet Rob Robbins?" He said, "No, I don't know who that is." I'm like, man, somebody should have gone into your hallway or into your office and just said, "Look, there's one of the guys whose pictures are up on the walls. He's number one in the record book on a couple stats." Like, that's sort of on the people around the program to tell you guys that, hey, Rob Robbins is in the house. Like, go shake his hand or whatever, because how would you guys know stuff like that? So there are some guys like that you're going to probably over the next few months get to know, hopefully, and get to know some of those names that are the important ones to shake hands with.
Yeah, no doubt. Looking forward to it.
Every program has some of those. So, all right. So you, when you got into the coaching, then how quickly into the coaching was it that you were like, I could do this even though I'm not getting paid anything? Because I don't imagine you were making very much money for quite a while.
No, not making money, living at home with the parents. But tell you the truth, pretty quickly. And the thing that I think made me feel good, I had other friends graduating college, right, going into real estate, finance, who maybe were making a little more money, and they already hated what they were doing. And right then and the end, for me, right, whenever I would meet anybody, they were like, "What do you do?" And when I would tell them, you could kind of see their face light up, and kind of seeing people react to that, knowing that I knew what I wanted to do at a very early age, maybe not knowing what my path would be, but knowing what I wanted to do, and comparing that to maybe what other people my age were going through. I think that only reaffirmed that, like, I only knew I wanted to do one thing. I didn't have a backup plan, and I felt pretty good about that. I'm probably not going to work a 9 to 5. And if I did, I definitely wouldn't be happy about it.
That passion sounds good for the individual, but what does that passion sound like? I don't have a backup plan to parents and to people around you.
Oh, very, very scary. But my parents have always been supportive. And I think, right, you got to have a little belief, right? They got to believe that, right? And my mom loved having me have to live at home for a couple extra years, but I think ultimately, like, the investment in short term, they knew it would kind of pay off long term. And I made a couple of decisions through my career that didn't make them happy financially, and I told them, you got to have faith in me. This is all about the end game, and I always look back at where I am now and those moments, and I'm glad they paid off. And every now and then I'll tell my mom, I told you so, and we'll laugh about it.
Have you taken her to dinner? Have you at least bought a dinner for them once since you've been getting decent paychecks as an assistant?
Yeah. I definitely have, and we'll save that really good dinner when my mom and dad finally make it out here for a trip to Albuquerque after we get all settled in.
Awesome. Well, I was born up the road in Santa Fe, so if you're doing the touristy, visity thing, they might like Santa Fe. There's plenty of stuff here in Albuquerque to do too. But yeah, no, I like New Mexico. It's not for everybody, but I'm all about pretty proud of where I'm from, kind of stuff. So I think it's a cool place. So when you're at a JC and you're learning kind of the coaching ropes, it's interesting to me that I think it's one of the best things you could do, that path, because you learn so much about a program. But it's also not exactly at all like what you're probably doing right now, right? So on the one hand, I think it's a great crash course of learning the ropes, but it's not learning what you're probably going to be doing most of your life. So I'm curious what you look back now on the junior college days and think about. Valuable, I would think, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. You got to do everything. Like, you're understaffed, under-resourced. Kind of similar to playing at the D3, like you're coaching at the JUCO level, like, because you love it. And the fact that you know where
the push room was after practices and games, were you ever wiping wiping down the court?
Yeah, doing that, doing laundry. I tell people all the time, younger guys who reach out to me about, I want to be an assistant and all that. I'm like, yeah, great, but if you want to do that, like, I recommend getting you started at the JUCO level. I think who I am today is a lot determined by 2 years at the JUCO level, where you got to do everything. Being a grad assistant, where you get to kind of be that a little more than a fly on the wall, but you're really in the cut day to day. And then being at the D2 level is a little bit of that, the junior college part of it. At the D2 level, you don't have a ton to work with. You're under resourced. You got to do everything. You got a whole study hall. You got to learn how to read a transcript, on top of being able to recruit and coach basketball every day. And now, I might not be required to do every single thing that I had to do back then. Yeah. But if it were to come up, if an opportunity came up, anything like that, I know I'm prepared, and I put in my time knowing how to do everything I did beforehand.
It also lends to a certain appreciation of that stuff too, for the people who are doing it now.
Yeah. Anytime you have a student manager or grad assistant come through, right, you try to go out of your way to treat them the right way, knowing that you were in that position, and you kind of remember how the people that rubbed off on you the right way and the people that rubbed off on you the wrong way back when you're in that position.
All right, you crossed paths with Eric Olen at some point along the way. How did you end up at UC San Diego?
So when they were D2 at UC San Diego, they played in the same league when I was at Cal State Dominguez Hills. So we played against them. They were top of the league. They were already either talk or maybe even they were getting ready to make the move to D1. And I got my butt kicked by them way too many times to where I knew when they were going D1, I had no doubt, like, Coach Olen would be able to turn UC San Diego into what he did at the D2 level to be able to do that to D1 level. Yeah. And the unique thing about it would be that it would be all new, right? Even though he's been there, even though there would be some turnover, that Division I transition would be a new experience for everybody, no matter how many games they won at the D2 level. And I thought that'd be a really cool thing to be a part of and work my way from the ground up. So I had a ton of respect for Coach Olen from afar. And again, I was very intentional about who I wanted to work for, and it happened to work out that when they made that move to D1, they had some more staffing positions open up, and I was ready to take whatever he had available for me and invest in that and hope the best for the payoff.
Would you start off as with UC San Diego?
Year one, I was director of operations, so that's one of the things we talked about, right? I went from an assistant coach at the D2 level, and I was like, I believe in Coach Olen. I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to, for a year, do some stuff that people might look down at, and do a lot of the not fun part. And again, rely on the investment and the payoff coming later.
I'm curious, real quick. I should have asked earlier. Now that you're here and your wife is out here, how long of a drive is it just to the pit from where you're at?
Probably 20.
20 minutes.
Well, we're in a short term furnished place, and then we're actually moving to our house in 5 days. So we're about 20 now, and then when we move, it might turn into more 25, 30.
25, 30. That's a long commute. I don't know if you're used to commutes like that. Like when you got to UC San Diego, I was told to maybe ask about the commute you had there for a while.
Oh yeah, I try to erase that from my memory. When I took the job, Coach Olen offered me the position at UC San Diego the same day. Me and my wife Katie signed our lease in Long Beach.
So you were already married at the time. How long?
No, at the time girlfriend, but now wife.
Where did you two meet?
So we met in Southern California. A little bit of a COVID relationship.
Okay.
And then coming out of the whole pandemic, we realized we actually do like each other, and we weren't just spending time to keep the time moving.
That's cool. That's cool. All right. So you guys had just signed a lease though.
Yeah. And, I kind of told her again, like, I'm doing it. And again, we weren't married at the time, so I felt it was more I'm communicating to her, but not really getting her permission, knowing that if she's going to be married to the wife of a coach, there's going to be way more things like this that will happen later on. So it's probably a good test, but I told her I'm taking it. I'm going to do what I got to do, right? I'm not going to leave you hanging with the lease. So I ended up taking the train every day. I would drive about a half hour, wake up at 5:30, drive a half hour from Long Beach to the Santa Ana train station, hop on the 6:30 train, take that down to San Diego, and then I would take a 20-minute bus from where I would get dropped off in San Diego, get dropped off at UC San Diego. And I think I did that for about 4 or 5 months until January. Katie was like, we're not spending any time together. The whole point of moving in together would be that we would be there together. So we got out of our lease and ended up moving into a place in San Diego in January of 2021.
Oh man, that's that sounds like a couple hours of commuting every day. And both ways.
Yep.
That's doesn't sound fun. I imagine she's sitting there wondering, man, this guy's decision making, I don't know, man.
Oh no, I definitely put her to the test very early on. But I knew when we made it through that, though, I felt pretty good about knowing that I found the right one.
Well, I like how you said you were communicating with her. You weren't necessarily asking for permission. I don't know, man. I'll bet you every decision you've made since then, it was more of a permission asking than it was communicating. I'm just telling you what I'm going to do. And once she put up with that one, she certainly earned a little bit of the decision making after that. So she was okay with you coming out here. Yeah.
And for her, again, we've been through it enough to where she realized the opportunity with the program here and being able to do it with Coach Olen's wife, with Tank's wife. I think, again, how I talked earlier on that I was able to do with Mikey and Tank, the initial move. I think for Katie being able to, have a shared experience with other wives that, coming from UC San Diego, I think that kind of really helped her feel comfortable about the move.
I've said this, and it's not just to gain brownie points with the coaches' wives, so they don't get mad at me through the years. But it is. I've come to appreciate the coach's wife life it's the real deal, man. They put up with a lot of crap from you guys. And I travel during the season to cover the Lobos, and I don't travel nearly as much as you guys do. And I know that when I come home, I can sometimes get the stare a little bit. So I understand that what they go through, and I appreciate them for doing that. And I'm sure you do as well.
Yeah, no, I could not agree more.
What kind of fan is she? Is she at the games? Is she a quiet, intense kind of just viewer of the game, or is she going to be yelling at the refs?
More reviewer, and I think it's funny. Growing up, I would always tell my parents when they were at the game, "Hey, you could come to every game. I do not want you being the parents yelling at the refs. You could clap, you could cheer."
Sounds like a future coach.
Yeah, and so now that Katie has been involved in that too, as a coach, I don't think we've ever had that talk. I think her personality is more kind of support, and she's the perfect balance of when I get home at night from a game, she'll know everything that went on. She'll know every player. She can follow the game, everything like that. Yet she won't tell me what we could have done better. So I think she's that perfect balance of knowing everything going on, but not feeling like we got to have another coach here over in the house with me.
Was she ever an athlete? Did she ever play any sports?
Maybe up until like 5th grade. Okay. But definitely she's from Chicago. Grew up with the whole that Jordan Bulls era. So she's very.
There was a Lobo and a New Mexico State Aggie on some of those teams too. There was Luke Longley and Randy Brown. Yep. And Randy Brown is from New Mexico State. So
yeah.
What about you? Are you a Lakers guy?
I am. But I'm not a Lakers fan who's going to tell you we're going to trade for all the top 5 guys in the league. I'm very realistic about who we have and where we are. But yeah, when it comes down to it, I'm rooting for them. But I'm also a realistic Laker fan.
Well, there you go. There's another kind of cool connection, coincidentally, that with UNM and the Lakers, obviously with recent Hall of Fame inductee Michael Cooper. Yeah. So that's pretty cool to you guys do this past year anyway. They did the throwbacks to his 1978 team. That 78 team, by the way, so is the team that some fans consider the best of all time. There's some debate, probably 2 or 3 seasons through the years that people might pick as their best Lobo team ever. But Cooper's 78 team, it's right at the top of that list of that conversation. He might have been on the best Lobo team.
What would be the top 2 or top 3 that people typically are debating between?
That's a good question. 2010, they won 30 games. Darrington Hobson was the guy. They were a 6-man team, really. Same 5 starters all season, no injuries. Got to the NCAA tournament I believe they were a 3 seed. I can't remember for sure, but they beat Montana in the first round, kind of struggled. Well, let me back up. It was 2010, and Darrington Hobson, who was a 1-year Lobo, was Mountain West Player of the Year, led the team in assists, rebounds, and points, and all that stuff. And it was, Jimmer was around, so it was a BYU Jimmer year. San Diego State was really good, and but the Lobos won the conference that year and ended up losing in the second round of the NCAA tournament to Isaiah Thomas's Washington team, Washington team, and that was because of the 30 wins. I think some people might think it was that one, although they didn't have much depth, in my opinion. Alford's, again, this is sort of recency bias, but Alford's 2013 team, before he took the UCLA job, had 3 future NBA players on the roster. You don't get that a whole lot at the mid-major level. So Alex Kirk, Cameron Bairstow, and Tony Snell were 3 of the 5 starters. They all made NBA rosters at some point. And then Kendall Williams from California was a Mountain West Player of the Year on that team. So that was a pretty good team. They were a 3 seed, lost in the first round to Harvard. Lobo fans will don't mention Harvard in Albuquerque. That won't go over well for Lobo coaches. So Harvard upset them though that year in Salt Lake. But then there were some teams even as far back as I don't know if any of the Bob King teams in the 60s were, but they had some really good players. They had a Mel Daniels who's in the Basketball Hall of Fame. I'm not sure if any of those teams are really in most people's conversation, but say 78. I'm kind of glossing over a whole lot of the Dave Bliss era had a couple teams with Kenny Thomas and a Lamont Long and a Charles Smith who were really, really good, but trying to think, there might be one other one. I know the best game kind of accepted the best game in the Pits history was, well, other than the 1983 NCAA tournament where it didn't involve the Lobos at all, but Jim Valvano was running around the court looking for someone to hug. In 1988, they beat a number 1 ranked Arizona team in the Pit with Steve Kerr and Sean Elliott on the team. And it was just, there was so much drama around that game, and it was dramatic and all that stuff. So some of those Gary Colson coached teams in the 80s never really made the NCAA tournament, but there were a couple of those teams that were really, really good. So I do kind of look forward to, with a whole staff of newcomers, maybe picking your brain in about a year to see how many of those older players or fans kind of just tell you those stories. You guys might be sick of those stories by the end of the season. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'd rather that, like you talked about, I'd rather know too much than not know enough.
Yeah, but yeah. Like I said, I will warn you. Don't. There's a couple things. I, as a New Mexican, don't spell chili with an I at the end. They like it with the E at the end here. We. And then as a Lobo, anybody affiliated with the Lobos, it might have been 2013, but mentioning Harvard basketball, it's a little too soon. So, people, that was a team that I think a lot of people thought might have been able to really make a run really deep, and didn't even get out of the first round. So,
yeah.
All right, man. You guys are you're working with Olen for a few years. What did you see in at UC San Diego that you liked? You're still with them, obviously, and kind of how would you explain sort of what fans are about to see in this Eric Olen system?
Yeah, the way he thinks the game is different than I've ever been exposed to, and I think that goes all the way to the recruiting part of it, about how guys fit together. You know, again, we're in a business of accumulating talent, but working for him, it would be like, how can that talent fit together? And why player A here might make more sense, but if we took another player, now that player might not make as much sense. So I think things like that, where from the team building part to the type of lineups we play together, and the thought that goes into all of that, you know, we're not just rolling out 5 guys who are like, you know, we'll put them 5 out. It's like, no, we need 5 guys that can play together. You know, we got to have enough rebounding, got to have enough playmaking, got to have enough playmaking on the defensive end, got to have enough shooting. So I think the ways that he would think the game that I've never really thought of, and it all sounds very simple, right? Oh yeah, you want to put 5 guys out there who fit, but using numbers to back it up, using analytics.
And you know it a lot better than most fans probably realize. There's not a lot of teams that actually do that. They need a 2 guard. Okay, let's go get the best 2 guard we can get. Well, that's oversimplifying it, because sometimes you may need a 2 guard, but you actually need a rebounding 2 guard. You know,
Yep.
So, and it sounds like that's what you guys really focus on.
Yeah, we know that if we're gonna really value skill and feel, and really in the front court part of it, you know, those front court guys might not always be the 7'1", 7'2". A lot of times those high feel, high IQ guys at the front court might be 6'8", 6'9", and they're gonna bring a lot of positives. But we got to find ways to. They might have some. I don't say weaknesses, but maybe limitations. And now how can we counteract that? Having more athleticism and rebounding in the backcourt, like you mentioned. And I think things like that, about how can we not only bring in talent, but how can you maximize that talent, right? Because it's all good to have a great team on paper, but when you put on the court, if they're not playing to their potential, then you're not really doing your job. So I think things like that, learning under Coach Olen about how can guys fit together, and then really using the numbers and the analytics to, right, and film too, right, film and all the other stuff. But how can we put it all together to really get the best value we can out of every guy?
Sometimes that lends itself, though, to you guys having to be a proofs in the pudding kind of team, as opposed to look how many stars these recruits have. You know, there are some uneasy Lobo fans because, you know, as he built it up, Patino was able to start getting a couple 4 stars anyway, and stuff like that. And I like what you guys have done recruiting wise. I mean, Chol, first of all, as a JUCO, is a 5-star, but but there's not a whole lot of stars next to the guys' names that you guys recruited. And I think there's some people that are a little nervous about that. And you guys just sort of have to kind of wait it out, don't you? I mean, you can tell them all you want, like, just wait, trust us. But like, it's sort of you guys have to sort of just be patient, and some people won't know how good you are until they see the product on the court.
Yeah. And right. We're going to learn on the fly with our group. But I think before all that too, is about putting the right people together, right? Can you bring the right people? Right. I think, the stars and the talent, right? I'm not dismissing that, but I also think there is an element of chip on the shoulder guys, right? The guys who maybe might not have been the, higher profile guys. And, I think we made a living of that at UC San Diego, right? With the Division II transfers, we had 3 guys on last year's team who are all getting NBA workouts right now. And those are all guys coming from the D2 who weren't recruited out of high school, really. And they were really good players in their own right. But again, like they brought out the best in one another. Talking about Tyler McGuy, Hayden Gray, and Niwa Tate Jones, like they all complemented one another where they were talented in their own right, but they brought out the best in one another. So I think that'd be the same formula here, right? Got to get talent. Got to get guys who have the ability, but can you bring guys who can get the best out, right? Can we bring guys that are going to get the best out of Antonio Chol and him doing, likewise to other guys? So, and, again, we're going to learn on the fly about our guys very quickly, but I'm confident that we have the right group in here to have a good year.
All right. I asked you about Eric Olen's system. How does an assistant coach recruiting to New Mexico tell that part of the story when you don't even know it yet, right? I mean, you guys are showing people around campus, and you guys might be. I'm hoping there was somebody from UNM with you guys to sort of show you guys around a little bit too. But how difficult is that when it's an entirely new staff too? It wasn't even like you guys had an assistant from the previous staff that could kind of show you around.
Yeah. We definitely leaned on the women's staff a bit in terms of little things like an official visit, where they would take people. Ryan Berryman's been extremely helpful in terms of
Berryman's fantastic with just everything over there. But yeah.
In terms of,
let's not mention him again. I don't want his head getting too big.
But he's been really helpful in terms of either he'll know what we need or he'll direct us to the people we need. Yeah. And then I think little things that organically happen help the recruitment. Like we would have guys on an official visit get here in the airport, and random people would be saying hi to them, right? And knowing why they were there. And I think
pretty much. I mean,
yeah. It definitely helped that they were tall. But and so I know Coach Olen had conversations with Coach Pitino, I think early on. When we took the job, I talked to Aaron from the old staff a little bit. So there's definitely ways to navigate it. And again, you're figuring out a little bit as we go, but there's been enough of a support system here in the athletic department, previous coaching staff, all that combined to really help us get to where we need to be.
All right. I don't want to, as I kind of wind this down and get ready to wrap it up, I don't want to go too much cart before the horse here, but what's the goal for Sam Stapleton down the road? I mean, I imagine head coaching is ultimately a goal, but are we putting a sort of a time frame on it? Is there anything? Are you one and done at UNM and going to be a head coach next year?
I don't plan on it, and I don't believe in putting a timetable on anything, because I think by doing that you end up, there's a lot of things out of your control, right? So I think it's more about identifying where you want to be and what path can help. And there might be multiple paths, but where do you want to get to? What do you need to do to really put in the work to get there? And I definitely do want to be a head coach. And for me, whenever that opportunity comes, I want to do my part in how prepared can I be when that opportunity comes? And people will tell you, you'll never be fully prepared for that to happen, right? It's kind of like, being a dad from what people tell me, that you can never fully prepare for it. But I want to do everything in my power to be ready for that moment. And until then, I think doing the best at where you're currently at is the best way to make all that happen in the future.
I don't even know. I don't think I'm ready to be a dad. I have 2 daughters, but I don't think I'm ready yet to be a dad. So, sometimes you just kind of know. Sometimes you may not be ready, and it might be the right time anyway. So yeah, it's just I'm glad you're not sort of. It's not one of those situations where you're kind of saying I need it within 3 years to be at this point, because then sometimes if the situation isn't right, you're kind of setting yourself up for, at least mentally, just sort of almost a failure of some sort. If you just go by feel, that's good too. Now, sometimes you just go by feel and don't put a deadline on something. You can get a little complacent, a little comfortable sometimes, and convince yourself that's okay. But it doesn't sound like that's what you guys do. It sounds like you guys all work pretty hard on the staff.
Yeah, and I think going back to our time at UC San Diego, right, having that dynamic of obviously Coach Olen, but Tank and Mikey having that familiarity. Tank had familiarity with Coach Roberts coming in here, so there's familiarity in that area. And then I got to know Mike Wilder pretty well. Just kind of, again, from afar, we played against them, had a ton of respect for what they did at Irvine, and he'd be the type of guy when I'm out recruiting, he would always be the guy in the gym with me. When we were in a back gym at 9 p.m., where I'm looking around hoping nobody else is
looking at that one guy, that one player.
Yep. And a lot of times it'd be me and Mike. I feel really good about our staff, and like a team, right? How do we complement one another? If we all have the same strengths and same limitations, then maybe you're not fulfilling our potential. But I think we all complement one another really well from a working aspect and from a personality standpoint.
Yeah, and I don't know how that back gym scenario. I don't know how good Mike Wilder is at hiding.
Well, that would be the thing I would tell him after every game. Like I would know when he would walk into a gym right away. Me, I could walk in with a cap, maybe wearing all black, and I could be a little more incognito. But Wilder can't get away with that.
You guys got 3 mics on the staff now, so that's why I asked him. What do you want people to call you? You just said go with Wilder. Yep. So it'll be difficult. You guys got a Mike, a Mikey, a Michael, a Wilder now, I guess. There's one other thing I want to say about the staff is, and this infuriates a 5'5" maybe 5'4" guy covering the team, but you're the shortest on the staff, man. You're the only one under 6 foot, but you're 5'10". Is that right?
I've been called 5'10" and a half, but we could keep it at 5'10" though.
Okay, we'll call it 5'10", 5'11" but under 6 foot. Everyone else on your staff, even okay, I see you guys hire a new Dobo, and I'm like, all right, and it's a female. I'm like, okay, finally. No, she's 6'1", and you got a 6'8", you got a couple 6'4s and 6'5s. It's the tallest staff in the whole country, I think, Ben. I got to ask NPOM what the average staff height is, and see, because you guys are a tall group, man.
No, I told you, right, to build a team around me, we need a ton of rim protection. So I think that's a perfect team for me.
You guys built it right. Who's the jokester on the staff? Is there one yet, or is you guys just all working so hard that? I get that. You guys have to have a jokester by now, right?
I don't think we have one guy in particular. I think we all have our moments.
Do you? Okay.
I think it's pretty balanced in that way. Coach Roberts definitely has stories from his different stops. So he's definitely the guy where we might spend an hour and a half in his office, and he'll be name dropping, left and right about what happened in 2012. And so he's definitely the type of guy who could go back with the stories a little bit. And then from a personality standpoint, I think we've always been busy building the team to where you got to have a little given, like, man, I might be really stressed one day. Tank might be trying to bring a little joy out of me. And now it might be another day where we flip it. So I think having that rapport has definitely gone a long way.
Well, I've only met 3 of you guys so far. Well, 4, I guess, with Eric, obviously counting in the bunch. I've only met 4 of you guys so far. And this is no disrespect to any of you guys. I think you guys are all likable guys, but Mike Wilder is going to be the fan favorite right away. He's one of the nicest guys that other people that kind of reached out to me after I did the podcast with him, they're like, he's just as nice as there is, man.
You know what? You are completely accurate with that. I think that is very well known in the coaching business, where people can't really believe it, right? Like, you're like, that can't be real. And
he's so nice. It seems disingenuous at first until you realize, no, I guess he's just nice.
Yeah.
What's this guy's plan? Like, what's he getting at here being so nice?
Nope. There's definitely no catch to it. He is truly a genuinely the nicest person I've been around.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, look, I do look forward to getting to know all you guys. You guys do, again, as we record this on Sunday, you said a few of the guys are starting to show up this weekend, but most of them will be here by tomorrow, by Monday. I think this podcast will be posted either Monday night or Tuesday morning. So people, when they are seeing or listening to this, there will be a whole lot of Lobo players here finally, and there haven't been for a while, man. It's how unique was that to not even have a couple individual workouts during the spring? I mean, you guys had to. I know you were busy, but you guys had to have been itching to get in that practice facility a little bit.
You have no idea. Yeah, we are we have been patiently awaiting this moment where we'll have basketball players to work with. So they're going to be. We don't have a lot of energy from going right away because we've had it all bottled in.
They're going to wonder what this is a weird coaching staff, man. They're all so excited to be coaching right now.
Yeah.
You guys have been missing it.
Yeah, no, we've been right. We've been in our offices overlooking the practice facility. We would see it empty every day. We're like, got to get through till we get our players here. So we've been talking about it. Yeah.
Sad social media meme of you guys just looking out the window of those offices, peeking through the blinds, and it's just an empty court.
I mean, literally, that is what. If you took a photo of me during the day, that is what that meme would look like.
All right, man. Well, hey, I appreciate it. I'm excited to see what this team does. I tend to think you guys are going to be okay, and you know, full roster turnover. I'm not going to go crazy. There are some Lobo fans who will pick you to win it every year. There are some Lobo fans who will pick you to be awful every year because that's just how some fans are in general. But for the most part, I think you guys got a Lobo fan base that's going to love you guys, but is pretty curious too. Like they don't know what's about to happen, and you know, count me in that group too. It's going to be exciting, man.
No, we're looking forward to getting to work with them and hopefully putting a great product out there.
All right, Sam. Hey, I appreciate you for coming on, and look forward to getting to meet you a little bit more in person.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Jeff. Looking forward to meeting you too.
All right, man. All right, there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation with Sam Stapleton, new UNM Lobo assistant coach. He's one of the three guys that carried over from UC San Diego or came over from UC San Diego to follow Eric Olen, the head coach. So 4 total of the coaches came, 3 assistants, 1 head coach, 2 new assistant coaches, new director of basketball operations, new strength coach recently announced. A graduate assistant actually followed him over from UC San Diego too. So I guess 5 total came from there, and a couple players. So call it 7 if you'd like. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that with Sam and got you some insight about who these new faces around the program are, but also a little bit of insight about the people running this process and running this new program and sort of their mindset, where they're coming from, basically. So hope you enjoyed it. If you can, send some feedback. Let me know what you think about these podcasts. You can get me at ggrammar@abqjournal.com, or you can find me on social media at Jeff Grammer. Remember, I spell both my names wrong. It's Jeff with the G, got an O in the middle there. It's Grammer with an ER at the end. So you can find me, and I usually interact with anybody and everybody, so good or bad. So give me your feedback. Let me know what you think about these podcasts, and hopefully you're enjoying them. Hopefully you're enjoying the other ones as well. Remember, subscribe, rate, leave comments, all the stuff you can do to sort of help us get the ball rolling on some of this stuff, and whether you're listening or watching. So again, much appreciated. Until next time, thanks for watching, guys.